Alrighty, everybody. Welcome back to the pod. It is currently Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. In these last few episodes I've been going on, I don't know. I don't know what's been up with. I do know, actually. And this is something I need to work on, something I need to do. I think if I jerk off the day before I record the pod, I just don't got it in me, dude. I don't got that dog in me, that edge in me. All right? Like I've said before, the crumbing. Men's need for pussy. It's what drives innovation. It's what drives everything. All right, drove the Holocaust. So we have women to thank for the Holocaust, but no, I think I need to stop jerking off before I record the pod, and I failed miserably on this one, dude. I busted all over my stomach and chest, dude. Just my fucking my patchy ass stomach and chest hair, just infused with crumb, dude. So I've failed miserably before this one, so it's not going to be a good episode. But I figured since the last few episodes have been bad, we got to go back to basics. And I went to the most basic thing I could imagine. All right, today we're talking wheels. Um, so we'll just get right into wheels. So a wheel, is a typically circular rotating component that is designed to turn on an axle. All right, like I said, we're getting real basic for this episode. I don't really have a ton to talk about today. What is there to talk about? It's like 40 degrees outside, dude. You know what's cold outside when 40 feels like 60. Like that's actually what it feels like. When you go from negative 20 to 40, that's a 60-degree difference in just a few days. That is crazy to think about because it just all seems like cold, but in reality, sometimes cold is more cold than it's. God damn it, dude. This episode's gonna suck dick. But hey, we're heels. All right, so the wheel is a key component of the wheel and axle. And that's like one of the six simple machines. It's like lever, wheel, gear. One of them is just like an incline plane. Just the most how the fuck what kind of marketing do you have to get the incline plane into the six fucking like basic machines? Like these are like every school kid learns about these, or at least I did. I don't know. We had to do like a project on it, and I was like, dude, I am not doing the incline plane. That's some pussy ass shit. Even as a kid, I was like, I'm not doing that. That's the easy way out. That's not the man's way out. All right, I'm gonna make some shit with gears. I'm gonna make a machine gun with Legos and shoot my bitch ass teacher. My bitch ass teacher. In third grade, we had like a class project, I guess. I don't know what to call it, where like we hatched chickens and we got no chickens. This fucking bitch, I swear to God, it must have been me. She heard about me. She heard the menace was coming up from second grade, dude. She heard I was going into the big leagues now, and she was like, I can't let this motherfucker around baby chickens. What's he gonna do, dude? She didn't know I had baby chickens at the house, but dude, we had like it must have been 100 eggs total. Like we tried once, none of the eggs hatched, and she was like, "Okay, sometimes that happens. We're gonna get some more." Dude, we probably went through 200. This bitch must have been buying them from the grocery store or something. I don't know how none of those eggs hatched. Or the machine just straight. She forgot to plug the machine in, so all the eggs just fucking rotted, dude. Those half grown. She's lucky we didn't have any Filipino kids in that school. That was a Catholic school, so she's lucky there was no Filipinos in that school, or else they would have been going hog wild, just munching on those eggs, just cracking them open. The half formed baby bird just like flops on the ground like a fish. And they're just like, I'm ducked out. I eat that one now. Look how good it is. I don't know what Filipino sounds like. I feel like Filipino. What do they speak? Tagalog. Ugh, just the name alone is just so fucking like gross and harsh. I'm beefing with the Philippines now. I do fuck with the Philippines the same way I fuck with like the Mexicans and all that. Filipinos are just Asian Mexican, or wait, yeah, Asian Mexicans. And Koreans, maybe not Koreans. Japanese are the Asian whites. And I don't know what the Chinese are their own thing, dude. The Chinese might be the Germans. Now that I'm thinking about it, they got concentration camps. They love their leader, dude. They love Glorious Leader. Glorious Leader is so great. They have a leader that is like the most unsuspecting looking guy, even though the H man. I guess the H man was pretty unsuspect, but Xi Jinping, just that joyous, that cherubic face he has, you wouldn't suspect it, but he's setting it up. So I'm thinking the Chinese are the Germans, the Mongolians. The Mongolians are definitely the Native Americans. Long ass hair, love riding horses, shoot bows and arrows at people. You know what I mean? And now they just now they like live in trailers and shit in the middle of nowhere. They live on trailers in like a desolate plain. So the Mongolians are the Native Americans, and then I think Southeast Asians, those are definitely the Africans. The Southeast Asians, like the Vietnamese, the Cambodia, all those guys are the Africans of Asia. Um, so I'm just jumping straight into the eugenics, dude. Like I said, we got to get back to basics, and that's the most basic thought I have every day. Every morning I wake up and I'm like, what's up with the Guatemalans? What are the Guatemalans doing? You know what I mean? I wake up just angry as hell at some race about something. Those fucking Costa Ricans, what are they planning down there? They can't be all. Oh yeah, you don't have a military? I don't buy that for a fucking second. And then I choke down some pills every morning when I take my pills. I don't know how it happens. And I'm not talking about, like, I'm not on SSRIs or whatever. I take like vitamins and like herbs and shit. You know what I mean? I'm that dude. That's like, no. You need to start taking fucking St. Thomas's root, all right? If you take St. Thomas's root, it's all going to work out. Your life's going to be perfect. Just take this weird thing. Take this thing that tastes like dirt and does nothing. Take this thing that's just going to make you shit all day. I mean, to be fair, if you are shitting all day, you're not going to be really worried about anything else. Like, if you're just constantly running to the toilet all day, you're not going to have, like, anxiety or depression. You're going to be too focused on shitting. So that's the type of guy I am. And that's the type of guy the Chinese are. I think that's a lot of, like, the Chinese, like, herbal medicine. That's kind of what a lot of old medicine was. It was like, dude, just shit it out, all right? If you're shitting, you can't be sick. Everyone knows that. And I think it was like they were just trying to make you more sick in one way to distract you from the fact that you were sick in another. And it just did not turn out well. You're just sweating. Oh, that's how, like, what's his face? Alexander Hamilton. He almost died like that. That's how his mom died. They, like, locked him in a room with his mom, fed him a bunch of laxatives. And this is a room in, like, it was in, like, Jamaica or, like, like a Caribbean island, like a humid ass Caribbean island, and they were sick as that they had like smallpox or something. And the doctors were just force feeding them laxatives down their throat, like how they do fog war, just shoving a tube down their throat and just being like, take this. I think they also put something up their butt, dude. They might have done the cigarette smoke up the butt, like we talked about with the tobacco, and they were just shitting and sweating, just the worst thing imaginable. And you know what I mean? It's not one of those shits that like relieves you. You're like, all right, I just shit. I'm feeling light. I'm feeling agile. All right, I could definitely run like a 4.240 right now. It wasn't one of those shits. It was just like, it was one of those shits where your asshole is still raw afterwards and your stomach's still bubbling and you're just, ugh. You know what I mean? You could barely function. You're like, is there shit on my your ass? It's dry. It's the driest thing possible. You know what I mean? It's so dry, like the skin is peeling off of it, but it still feels wet at the same time. That's the type of shits they were having up in there. I've had those types of shits before. Not good. And I've never had like a stomach flu or anything. That's just how fucked up my body is. I was thinking about this, dude. I was watching this video where these people were munching coyote, and I was thinking I could never munch coyote. I have a white man's stomach, but like an Indian's liver. It's the worst combination imaginable. I can't digest alcohol or like chips. My body is destroyed, dude. I'm not built for modern America. I don't know what I'm built to eat. I might have to go full panda. You know how pandas, like, their bodies are designed to digest meat and shit, but they just eat bamboo all day, just eat the most inefficient food imaginable. I might have to switch to that. Because, I mean, my shits have been rock solid as of late. I'm talking zero wipeness. I don't even look. I don't even do a single wipe to check, dude. I'm just shitting out fucking gravel, dude. I might have to start my own gravel company. That's the type of shits I've been dropping lately, dude. And so back to wheels. I know that's what everyone wanted. All right, so wheels are intended to move heavy things easier. That's like their basic function. Or to like move light things really, really fast. And so Mesopotamians are credited with inventing the wheel, but evidence suggests it was invented earlier or simultaneously in Israel or southeastern Europe. I mean, in the Israel one, I think it said it was discovered by a team of Israeli scientists. So we can't trust that one, dude. There's no chance we can trust that one. Israel's always playing tricks like that. Same with China. Israel fucking took a couple pages out of China's notebook and just started discovering fakes in it. You know what I mean? They were like, look at this. Look at this. This is an army of elephants, of life-sized elephant figurines made out of crystals. Can you believe we discovered? It's like props from Indiana Jones. They're just burying props from Indiana Jones and digging them up, being like, dude, isn't this crazy, dude? Can you believe how fucking awesome we are? Oh, look at what that elephant says, dude. That elephant says this is our land and we need to kill everyone on it. Look at that, dude. Can you believe that? Could you believe that? And it's not a surprise, you know what I mean? Because Israel is filled with Jews. All right, I know. That's like the whole point of it, right? So I think that's the one thing I can say about Israel that everyone can agree upon. Filled with Jews. And those guys, they love making up stories, all right? I'm not talking about the one I'm talking about Hollywood. Those guys, even though they're not typically the writers, they typically get like some northeastern, like waspy, like rich waspy kids who are like, I'm gonna be so creative now. I'm gonna write a new Star Wars movie, but we're not gonna use the Force in that one because it's transphobic. So they're typically not writing the stories, which is probably why like their fake historical discoveries are so bad, because they're not the writers, dude. They need to get some wasps over there that can come up with just some complete bullshit. You know what I mean? Some Knights of the Round Table ass shit for them to justify what they're doing. And Southeastern Europe, I mean, they probably did invent the wheel, but it was probably so that they could make kebabs or something. You know what I mean? They invented the wheel in like 100,000 BC so that they could make yogurt. That's probably what they were doing. That's like a thing, by the way. Like some dude in Turkey, he invented like the steam engine, like this revolutionary thing, like 100 years before like anyone else like even thought of it. But the reason he invented it is so that it could like spin a fucking kebab thing. So that's the type of shit that drives innovation, all right? And nowadays, chefs haven't discovered shit, dude. Chefs have discovered if you get tattoos and smoke cigarettes and just talk pensively in general, people think you're smart. That's like that's like the best recent discovery from chefs. All right. So some of the first wheels were potter's wheels, which is like, yeah, just use it to make pottery. And I mean, we're still on that one. You haven't found a better way to do it. I think that's still how like most pots are made, except instead of being made by like artisans, they're made by like Indian children. That's like a big business in India, just spinning, just slapping some mud on some shit. And I mean, and it makes sense why it's India. They just love getting messy. And so it makes sense why they're the ones, you know what I mean, playing with the mud. It's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, if you enjoy what you do, it's not really a job. I mean, they just love playing with stuff that looks like shit. So that's why India makes most of the pots, all right? It's not racist. It's an astute observation. It's really not racist, all right? Because I got to imagine, like, the Muslim Indians, those boys got to be clean as hell. I think it's just the Hindus. I think it's just that sect of religion. They just love it. I feel like they're doing it on purpose at this point. Because I feel like they're lulling us into a trap, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, we're just like dirty. We just like fucking around. Next thing you know, boom. Indians are everywhere. They're taking over the world. It's like the Colombians, dude. People don't realize this. The Colombians they're plotting on us. All right? People don't believe me when I've been telling them this. I'm running around to people, grabbing women by their shoulders, chasing them down in the middle of the night, being like, look at me. All right, the fucking Colombians are going to take us over. And people don't believe me, but what's the capital of the United States of America called? Washington, D.C. What does D.C. stand for? District of Columbians. All right? Or District of Columbia. They're trying to take us over. Next thing you know, we're going to have a bunch of fat-assed women walking around. No one wants that, dude. We want our white queens with their flat butts and their big, misshapen tits. That's what we want. Well, we want white women that are just from the fucking, you know what I mean? The solar plexus up just got these huge, you know what I mean? One is the size of a basketball. The other's the size of an orange. That's what we want over here. We don't want these round Colombian asses walking around. It would be ideal if it was just the women. I think if it was just women, we wouldn't have a problem with it. But the men coming over, blasting peso pluma on a dollar store speaker, we don't want that. We have enough of that already. We got the whites over here doing that. That's how you know what country's starting to fall. When everyone's just walking around with their big-ass Bluetooth speaker with LED lights, just blasting whatever shitty music they're playing. Blasting some country artists off SoundCloud. Could be the move though. I don't know. Maybe that's the sign of a prosperous country. I'm just over here making observations. um uh but wheels were invented in the Americas, but they were only used for toys, and I think that's one of the funniest fucking things ever, dude. It's it's so funny that they were just like this revolutionary thing that like in the rest of the world where it was like discovered or like introduced or whatever, when it was like introduced to like the Romans or the Egyptians, they used it to go to war and like conquer like thousands and millions of fucking square miles and like subjugate all these people, and the Indians discovered it and they were like, "Oh, look at this. All right, we're going to put this on a bison toy now. Look at how fun that is. Look at the little youngsters running around." Same with like they discovered all the shit. They discovered like how to like smelt like some metals. They discovered how to make alcohol, but they were just like, "Fuck it, dude." You know what I mean? We're not doing all that. That's too much goddamn work. We got all the shit we need right here, which I do fuck with it. That's that Indian mentality. And I realized that I'm starting to fuck with tribal people heavy. Like I watched Blood Diamond the other day, and like that movie, it takes place in Africa. Obviously, it's about blood diamonds and shit. And like throughout that movie, they play like the stereotypical like the African chants, like the hey oh. That was more Native American, but you guys know what I mean. Like with the like little light drums, and not the heavy drums, like the light drums in the background and like the chanting and shit. And I've realized I am Danny Archer, dude. It's so funny. Whenever I find a character like that, I'm like, he is me. I am him. I'm a white guy from rural Kansas. That guy's like a ruthless mercenary that's killed thousands of people and now trades in blood diamonds, and we're the exact same. He saw his parents brutally slaughtered in front of him. I got hit one time. You know what I mean? We're the same. We're the same person. I do think that's funny. Or how people like idolize these movie characters when there's like real life examples. God damn, is America the greatest country on earth? Like over in China and like Russia and shit, they're like these glorious leaders, you know what I mean? These real life people who like clawed their way out of poverty. Even if the stories are made up, in the minds of the people, these are true stories. And it's just like in America, we're over here like, dude, Danny Archer, this cartoon, Bob Belcher's my hero. Over there, they're like, this guy, you know what I mean, in Mongolia or whatever, they're like, Genghis Khan, destroyed the earth, ravaged the land. And over here, we're like, dude, Bob's Burgers, I just want to be a chef. I'm just so nihilistic and I don't even care about anything. God, I need to stop making cultural Every time I try to make a cultural observation that's beyond like just pure racism, it goes nowhere. But look, that's where we got to start out, all right? We're getting back to basics. The people don't want it. I know what you people want. And I have realized, like, I do all this. I'm like, fuck, dude. My podcast is suffering. What am I going to do? Everyone's going to not listen anymore. And it's like no one's listening. It's like when your mom is, like, freaking out because the house is dirty. Or, like, your room is dirty. And she's like, we got people coming over. You need to clean up your room. And it's like, dude, no one cares about this but you. That's how I am with the podcast. I got just mom brain. I remember one time my mom made me clean my room because an insurance adjuster was coming over. And, like, as I was doing that, I was like, is my mom going to try to burn down the house? Why does she give a shit if the house is worth more because of insurance? I thought for sure. I don't know how I thought that. I was like 8 years old. I must have just seen, like, Goodfellas or something. And I was like, is my mom Italian? Is she going to try to burn this fucking place down? Is my mom a wop? That's just in them, though, dude. The Italians, they didn't have time to invent the wheel. They were trying to invent insurance scams. They were trying to figure out how to scam each other. You know what I mean? It's just in them. They didn't have time to invent the wheel. They were trying to figure out how to sell stamps, how to scam people out of money on stamps, dude. Same with the Indians. They didn't have time for all that. They were trying to figure out the most efficient way to make a braid. They were on their way to discovering the jean jacket. I think the Native Americans discovered the jean jacket before the wheel. They discovered the Canadian tuxedo before the wheel. And so, but the reason why they believe that they only use them for toys is because, or this is what the researchers say, is because there are no like large domesticated like work animals. You know what I mean? Like the closest thing to like a cow that they had in the Americas was like the bison. And they had like llamas and shit that they had and they had like a few other like little shitty animals, but like none of them are really good for like turning wheels and shit. Um, because a bison, dude, that thing is not gonna turn a fucking wheel for you. You cannot beat that into like a cow. You can like shock the shit out of a cow. You know what I mean? I don't know, torture its kid in front of it or something. Bison does not give a fuck, dude. A bison will see its kid die, just run away. We've seen those nature documentaries. You know what I mean? Where it's like the big fucking like pack of bisons. Bison? Yeah, the big ass like pack of bisons. Fuck, why do I keep saying bisons? I don't know, whatever. And the wolves. I'm just gonna start saying words retardedly now. No one's even made it to this point. But the big ass pack of bison is getting chased by all the wolves, and the wolves come up and they like separate one of the babies from the family. The bison don't even try to save it, dude. They're the fuck out of there. They're running away. They're just like, one of them looks back for a second. They're like, fucking haha. They got your ass, dude. They probably do that shit on purpose. They're probably like, get that weekend. We don't want that motherfucker here, dude. That fucking Poindexter ass, dude. I saw him walk up to the humans, dude. Humans put a thing on him, tried to make him turn a wheel, and he did it. Bitch, let him go to the wolves. Literally, throw him to the wolves. But in Europe, there is one funny animal that they did. This was back in when Europe was on like their China type shit. You know what I mean? How like China's just doing everything right now. They're just trying whatever, seeing what sticks, throwing everything at the wall. Especially with like their planes and like their military and shit. They're just like sacrificing thousands of dudes annually for like military technology that doesn't work. But one of the things the European did that was very Asian is that they had these things called turnspit dogs, which they ran in a giant wheel that was like attached to a spit. They weren't like, so a lot of the other animals that like are used to like turn wheels or whatever, they have like a thing attached to them, and then they have like a stick attached to them that like turns a wheel and like grinds flour or whatever, or they like pull a cart that has a bunch of wheels attached to it. This thing was inside like a hamster wheel, turning the thing, and the thing was attached to a spit that would like turn meat. And so that was this dog's whole life, and that is very European. Europe was just obsessed with like taking like a person or like a thing or an animal and just subjugating it to like one specific task for its entire life, just torturing it as much as possible. They did it with people, they did it with animals, and they did it with this thing called the turnspit dog. And so the turnspit dog was also used to warm people's feet at church. They were like, so the dude would like pull the dog off the wheel and be like, dude, we got to go to church, all right? We got to like pray that God makes me a king or something like that, or like that I could properly serve the king so I can get into heaven, all right? They probably weren't taking these dogs off easily. They weren't probably like, come here. They probably grabbed it by the fucking scruff. You know what I mean? It was like some Looney Tunes that shit where they like snatch the dog and like a dust outline of the dog is still in the wheel, like still turning the wheel for a couple seconds, and then it like dissipates. That's probably what they were doing to these fucking dogs. And you might think, so a lot of these working dogs, people are like, oh, they enjoy what they do. And that's true a lot of the time, dude. Not for these dogs. These dogs, just something about them. And this is why you got to argue. Like, you can't be munching on dogs. That's probably what they were munching on, dude. This was medieval Europe. Everyone was dying of the bubonic plague. Everyone was just shitting constantly. They were just eating as many laxatives as possible. So they were probably munching on dogs, too. They probably ran out of animals to munch. And there were like no wild animals you could eat. Like Europe is just like a giant field basically. So there was no wild animals to munch though. I'm guessing at this time they were using dogs to cook dogs, which is just grotesque. But yeah, these dogs were aware of the torture they were being subjugated to. So there's this one story where, like I said, they would use the dogs as foot warmers, and this priest at church is telling he's giving his sermon. He's telling a story about like Ezekiel, and he goes, Ezekiel saw the wheel, and apparently all the dogs like got up and like tried to run out of the door, dude. They like knew they were being tortured. They heard the word wheel and they were like, fuck. I'm gonna have to cook my brother again, dude. They were probably cooking the turnspits with the turnspits. It was some crazy ass shit. But people used to it was like Queen Elizabeth, one of the fucking queens. They're all the same. They're all like inbred. Some queen with probably some weird deformity. Some queen with like extra long toenails or something. You know what I mean? Toenails that grew into the end of her toes. I don't know. She used to like rescue the dogs and like keep them as like pets. Or like she would take retired ones and use them as pets. Which, I mean, fair enough, dude. Because I can imagine, like, as soon as they're done with the dog, because people back in the day, dude, and even now, people, like, they torture dogs, dude. I don't know why they do it. Like, there's no way a dog is better at turning a spit than, like, a cow or a horse or something, or, like, a mule. They were just, like, they were just doing it for the fun of it. They were just like, how can we inbreed this dog until it's, like, tortured? That's why we're going to hell, dude. That's why humanity as a whole. I think that was like the main sin Jesus was forgiving us for, was like inbreeding dogs until they can only do one thing. I think that was like one of the main sins. I think that's what like the sign above Jesus, you know what I mean? Like the sign above his head. I think that's what it read. It was like, dude, stop. It was like, we torture dogs. And Jesus was like looking up at it. And he was like, I know, dude. I fucking get it. So yeah, they were torturing the fuck out of these dogs. And so the first wheeled vehicles had 4 wheels, and that's the last note I had, which I guess makes sense. I feel like, dude, they had to have had something with only 1 wheel, like a wheelbarrow or something. Speaking of which, we got to figure that one out, dude. How has it been this long and we still have wheelbarrows? It doesn't work. If you have to move something that weighs more than 10 fucking pounds, I can't tell you how many times I've loaded up like some bags of rocks or like dirt or mulch or something into a one-wheeled wheelbarrow, and just it completely tips to the side. And it's like, at first you're like, oh, I can control it, I can get it back right, and then it's like tipped like to 90 degrees, and like you're fuck, I just moved the mic way too far away. I was doing an act out, all right, because I'm like a stand-up comedian like that. I'm like Dave Chappelle or like Louis C.K., and I make like insightful commentary about culture and society and stuff like that, but and the wheelbarrow's like tipping over, and you're like, fuck, I can get it, and it's like 150 pounds of rocks, and it just tears your left shoulder out of its socket. It's a common occurrence for me. That's why my shoulders are so fucked up, because we can't use I might have to inbreed a dog to fucking do this job for me. I might make the wheelbarrow dog. They might arrest me, dude. I might be Michael Vick. It would be funny if I got like insanely successful at something. Like if I was like had a growth spurt all of a sudden and I was like in the NFL and they just discovered me. Like Michael Vick 2.0, but I'm just like inbreeding dogs to figure out how to make them pull wheelbarrows. And that's another thing that like the Native Americans had. This is a funny story of, so like I said, they didn't have like a ton of domesticated animals, but they had dogs, right? Like everyone had dogs. That's like the whole thing. That's why they're man's best friend, because like literally everyone had them. Everyone like still has them, even if some people are munching on them, even if some people are boiling them alive in like a Hansel and Gretel soup. I'm not looking at it, anyone, but they have really small eyes. But so the Native Americans, they did have like domesticated dogs, and so when they would like, especially like the Plains Indians, when they would like migrate to like follow the bison migration so that they can munch on the bison, they would like take the babies and they would put them on these sleds and they would attach the sleds to like the dogs. But like a dog isn't like a horse. Like a horse, you can just like train it to like walk in a straight line and it'll do that like off a fucking cliff. But like a dog really isn't like that. You know, you can kind of get a dog to be like that, but not really. And so these dogs, you know what I mean? They would like see like a rabbit or something and they would just disappear into like the tall ass prairie grass and just like drag the baby along with them. And so that's the last story I had, dude. The dogs were just disappearing the babies. They were like, fuck, dude. Well, nothing we can do about it. That baby's lost, all right? That baby was weak. The great spirit didn't deem it worthy. That's why it made that dog run away. All right? Let's keep going. It's kind of like how the Europeans were with like The Exorcist and shit. Like a 12-year-old girl would like tell her mom fuck you, and they would just like starve her to death, being like, she's filled with the evil spirit, we gotta get the spirit out. No, don't feed her, all right? That's gonna feed the spirit. It's kind of how they were like, God just chose her, all right? It's unfortunate, but it's the truth, all right? This 12-year-old was probably being a slut, so now we have to torture her to death. All right, I think that's a good note to end the podcast on. Fuck it, I mean, no one's listening. But anyway, hope you have a good day. Have a good week. Good day at work, wherever you are. Good year, hopefully. Hopefully I have a good year. I don't know. But yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys on Sunday, and hopefully Sunday will be on par with this one. This one still wasn't that good, but fuck it. It's not going to be good for a while. All right. Peace. See you guys.